Welcome to Loving Out Loud, how to improve communication, sustain sexual passion, and create lasting love relationships. My name is Paula Smith, and I'm your summit host. Loving Out Loud is about loving fiercely and showing up in a different way to create a new reality, one that allows you to access your deepest truths and desires. No matter where you are in the love and life cycle, Loving Out Loud is a prescription for awakening your heart, your mind, and your body to a deeper consciousness and a more authentic and intentional self-expression. Welcome to Loving Out Loud. My guest today is Dr. Ben Michaelis. Dr. Michaelis is a clinical psychologist in full-time private practice in Manhattan. He writes and speaks regularly about play and creativity as they relate to well-being. He is the author of numerous popular and scholarly articles and is a regular contributor to the Huffington Post. Dr. Michaelis is a frequent guest on nationally syndicated TV shows such as NBC's The Today Show. Dr. Michaelis is also the author of Your Next Big Thing, 10 Steps to Get Moving and Get Happy in Your Life. This is our recent conversation.
Right.
So today I'd like to welcome Dr. Ben Michaelis to the Loving Out Loud Summit. So wonderful to have you here, Ben.
Thank you for having me, Paula. Really, I'm really glad to be here.
Yep. So you wrote a book,
I
and
did.
you're on the summit to talk about your book. I'm very excited because I love the title. Um, so how did your book, Your Next Big Thing, come about?
Well, it's a great story. So a number of years ago, I was very classically trained as a psychologist. I'm like really old school in many ways, and I was working with this one woman in her early 40s who was really trapped in her job. She was feeling just really stuck in her life. There was just no joy. The only joy she had a 9-year-old daughter, any light in her life, but all of my techniques were honestly they weren't working.
Okay.
And one day I just said to her, look, forget everything that we've been doing. I want you to close your eyes and I want you to imagine your great great granddaughter. I want you to get to know her. I want you to think about her, and I want you to really feel her, feel who she is and what kind of life she's leading. And then I want you to imagine her thinking about you and thinking about what that one thing was that you gave her that really made a special contribution to her life. Can you think of one tangible thing you could give her? And she opened her eyes and she said, I would make her a necklace to wear to her senior prom.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
And every time I tell this story, I start to get very emotional because it was one of these experiences that like broke her open, and it broke me open as a clinician.
Mm-hmm.
And suddenly this woman who hadn't, and when she was younger, she played with beads and things like that, but she hadn't really considered making jewelry, she became a jeweler from that moment on.
Wow.
And our work together was very intense, and it was really following her journey of, I started writing down notes about things that worked when I was working with her. I was like, okay, that technique was really helpful. Like Christmas time a few years ago, I was sitting in a barn with all these notes, and I was like, this could kind of be a book if you put it all together. And so I did what most people should not do, which is totally backwards. I wrote the book, based mainly on my experience with this one woman, and then went and got it published, but I didn't know anything about the publication process or having an agent or any of that stuff beforehand. And the book tells a lot of her story and my working with her, but other people as well. And, just helping people that are feeling stuck in their lives to get moving again. And it's all the techniques are based on really mainly my work with this one woman.
Right. So it sounds like play is a big part of it. So why is that, Ben?
So play is one of these things, Paula, that exists in every culture ever studied. All children naturally play. It is our natural sort of simulator and stimulator. It helps us to think about things that may be difficult to come to terms with, to imagine scenarios. But one of the things that tends to happen as we go on in life is we tend to lose that natural sense of play that is just so important to us.
Yeah.
And without that, we really stop living a meaningful life. And in my work with this woman and in this book, I talk about the concept of play. And I think of my practice as very built on the foundation of play, because you can't play if you don't feel safe.
Right.
So you need to have a safe space, be negative consequences for coming up with any kind of idea. And so I try to really provide ideas. And that's why I think that play is it's critical for living a meaningful and loving life.
Yeah. So absolutely, I'm totally tracking with you. But how would someone how does someone define their true purpose in life?
Well, I think that purpose comes from, I think that purpose is something that is actually created. You create your purpose through your experiences and through making meaning. I don't actually believe that there is one purpose per se. There is a purpose that you develop over time. And I think that is play and through action, through work. And work, I don't mean like necessarily going to a job. I just mean like taking some, because when you're engaging, when you're out in the world, things happen. Magical experiences happen through your willingness to try different things. Just like the fact that you reached out to me, Paula. Like, you didn't know me, but you're like, this guy looks like he's interesting, and like, I'm gonna see what he has to say, and that is a real, in my opinion, like an openness and a willingness to play and see what happens. And sometimes it doesn't work out, but you didn't just have the idea like, oh, this guy seems interesting. You did the next thing, which is you took an action and you engaged with me, and as a result, we're having this conversation right now. It's that very idea, and your purpose, which I believe is central, similar to my own, which is just helping people and healing people. And you know that, it takes a village to do that. And so by bringing other people together to do that is your way of making this contribution to the world. And I'm just really pleased to be part of it.
Yeah, great. So I'm probably going to edit this piece out, but the top of your head is cut off.
Yep.
Much better. Great. So a little space. Yeah. So thank you for that, and I'm thrilled that I reached out. I'm thrilled that I just saw your face, the energy, and I said I'm gonna reach out to this guy and see what happens. And here we are. It's great. So we started talking a little bit about work. So how can work be a good thing, and work in the context of the way that you're describing it be a good way to pursue the next big thing?
Again, I think of it as really work as action. Right. I work with a lot of people that are retiring or just about to retire, and so this concept of work, when I say the word, and I may need to think about changing the world as taking some form of action in the world and engaging in some way. I think that a lot of times, because of our childhoods often, or other potentially difficult or traumatic experiences, many of us try to kind of crumple in, and we're not, outwardly engaged with the world. Mm-hmm. And that's where the work and again, experiences happen, by being out there and allowing for sort of serendipitous connections to happen. Mm-hmm. And so it is about taking an idea. So, just to go back to the concept of play a little bit, like, oh, okay, like I really, as an adult, I really enjoyed acting when I was younger. And I think that a lot of the roots of our playfulness really are still from our childhood. So I encourage people to consider those things. Mm-hmm. But it's not just like, oh, let's say I like acting or what have you. It's about actually going and finding other people, finding a community where you can interact and make work and take action. And again, that's really where the wonderful things occur. So that's what I really mean by work.
Mm-hmm. As you were talking about play from childhood, I was thinking about hopscotch. Mm-hmm. Did you guys play hopscotch in your neighborhood?
Oh yeah,
like with the rock and everything. And we were both talking about how we both live in real neighborhoods. Now I'm thinking at the end of my day, and there's a lot of kids on my block, I'm thinking I may go out there and do a hopscotch with the kids. I'm getting excited about it.
I'm gonna and you'll let me post it. I'm gonna post that.
Okay.
And I'm like, I got Paula Smith to do hopscotch.
Absolutely, I'll do it. So you're talking about a whole paradigm shift, right?
Yeah.
So people's lives are changing as they're going through this lifestyle change. What are some of the obstacles they may face when they're making this paradigm shift?
I think that the biggest obstacle that people face is one of fear. I think that because of the way we are wired, basically, there are certain aspects to the way our mind works that is our mind is constantly looking for patterns. Yeah. And unfortunately, so like if we have an experience that is very painful, or we have a difficult experience with our parents especially, or the people that are taking care of us when we're younger, we're always on the lookout for something to go wrong.
Right.
And that inhibits action. Right. It also inhibits being in the moment, being where we are. A lot of times when we're afraid, we sort of project ourselves into some uncertain future, and that keeps us from doing things. Mm-hmm. There's something really magical about the sort of the present moment that, and I know that it's been said in all sorts of different ways, but there really is truth to it. Mm-hmm. That when you're just saying, okay, I'm here, it's right now, I'm safe. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Then you can so it really is about fear is one of the major obstacles that keeps people from doing things and trying things out. And then another one is that I think that there's a tremendous fear of failure. Mm-hmm. that we have, and when we fail at something, and I am a huge fan of failure, a huge fan. I fail all the time. I'm trying things out, and lots of things don't work. But it's when you can step back and say, okay, well, what did I learn from that? As opposed to, wow, that didn't work. I must be, not good enough, not smart enough. That doesn't help you. Mm-hmm. It's well, what do I get from this experience? And you can really take something away from every experience, especially the experiences that are not positive. I think we learn the most from them because our brains end up working that much harder to make sense of them. Mm-hmm. And so when you have an experience that like, ooh, that didn't feel good. I mean, have that many negative interactions, but I had a negative interaction with someone yesterday afternoon, and it really made me think. I was like, did I do everything that I could to like listen to her, or did I maybe do something wrong? Mm-hmm. And what can I learn from it? uh, and that's there's something really beautiful when you're able to sort of take something away from an experience that doesn't go the way you hope it does.
Right, right. So as I was saying, this is my third summit.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, the first one was full of echoes and, technology, learning the technology. And it could have been perceived as a failure,
Mm-hmm.
but it wasn't. We learned so much about this, and we decided to challenge ourselves and do video. So I really love that definition. I mean, you really spoke to my heart when you said that you're a fan of failure, because I have had many careers.
It's critical.
Yeah. And I think it's what really attracts my client base to me is the fact that I've done so many things, and that I first started getting educated in my mid 30s. I'm not a traditional kid. I didn't go from high school to college to graduate school to, PhD. It was a rocky road.
Wait, keep that thought for 1 second.
Okay.
This is something, I don't know if you can see this. Or my video is my video working?
Nope. It's you're frozen. Oh.
All right, I turned it off and turned it back on, so maybe that'll work. All right,
Yeah,
this is something that I keep on my desk. Can you read that?
It says, "Sea never made a skillful sailor."
A smooth sea never made a skillful sailor.
Yep, and I was a sailor. I was in the Navy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's awesome! I didn't even know that.
Yep, that was my first attempt at trying to be successful.
Wow.
And I failed. I mean, I didn't even get an honorable discharge.
But you're here now, and you're doing if you can cultivate those experiences, which is what you're doing, and turning them into something beautiful, so that it's helpful to other people. It's all good.
It's all good. It's all good. So can you share with us some of your client success stories? I'm sure you have many.
Yeah, the thing that I've been focused on a lot lately is actually dating.
Ah.
Dating in the digital era is, I mean, especially in New York, it's just I've been talking about it to the model of dating, because.
So what did you say? You said in New York it's and then it cut off. So.
Oh, just in the digital era and in New York, it's just really hard to date. I mean, I think it's hard to date anywhere, but the idea of putting yourself out there and letting yourself be potentially rejected by someone is such a frightening concept for so many people. And so a lot more of my work has been going into the idea of, well, how do you bring this idea of sort of failure into the dating model?
Right.
And the first principle of it has been just to get people out there trying things and actually interacting with each other, which is not a small task.
Right.
That very idea, people are so reluctant to actually have contact with people, face-to-face contact with people. But this one young man I'm working with, I'm like, he's he's in his late 20s, and he hadn't really been on any dates. He really wanted to start dating, but was so fearful of being rejected that it was just terrifying for him. And I've been working with him on this concept of just so we've been going through his online profile, because he's been meeting people that way and iterating on that, and he's had 3 dates.
Wow.
Through just a number of things he tried to set up, they didn't work out, and it was really hard for him. But I was like, look, these are all learning experiences that you need to have. We need to get you out there trying these things, and and one time he got stood up, and that was really hard. But he's had 3 dates now with this one woman, and I don't know where it's going to go, but that's the success.
Right.
The success is that he has been willing to put himself out there and not only make a first date, but a second and a third, and it just it is a process. You know, we're often expected to have all the answers right away, and that's a mistake.
Right. It's unrealistic.
Absolutely. Yeah. I always say I come from a family of teachers. Both of my parents were public school teachers, and I always say, like, anybody can teach the kids that know everything right off the bat. That doesn't make you a good teacher.
Right.
It's the kid in the back of the room that doesn't want to care what you have to say. That if you can get to that kid, you're a good teacher.
You're a good teacher, absolutely. And I'm one of those kids. I mean, I'm going to send you an article.
I'm going to send you an article, Paula, that I think you'll like a lot, called "Aiming for Failure," where I talk about this. I talk about the kid in the back of the row as the square peg kids. I think it'll speak to you.
Great. I look forward to it. So, so there's some people out there who are not quite ready to make changes. They're kind of hanging out on the sidelines. What advice do you have for them? Who might not be ready to make any changes in their lives right now?
You know, the first principle is trying to figure out what's the smallest step you can take. Right. Again, I'm not someone that's a big believer in just talking to talk. Like, that doesn't really work for the way I work. I want people out there in the world. Yeah. And so trying to isolate the smallest possible step. Mm-hmm. So, for example, this is going to seem so like it's such a, you miss things along the way. I was talking to this one person I work with who was having a difficult time getting to work on time, and the problem was that he had an iPhone. He has an iPhone, and he would just hit snooze on it, and he was like, and he wasn't getting to work on time. And so we basically, all we did was he bought an alarm clock for $3.99 because he didn't have an alarm clock. He just used his phone and put it in his bathroom so that he had to get up. It's just the smallest little thing to get him moving.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And sometimes it's something just as simple as that. And sometimes, you need help. And sometimes having someone, either a therapist or a friend that you can be accountable to, is a really powerful motivator to get you moving. Just to, again, that little step, because little things start to add on each other, and they become big changes.
Yeah, I'm becoming a proponent of community. I am convinced that I can only motivate myself so far, and even with the women and the men and the couples, kids that I work with, I sincerely encourage them to find community. Mm-hmm. Because as soon as, and I gave a talk on this last summer, as soon as, I'll set this great big plan, and as soon as I hit an obstacle, if I'm by myself, I'll stop.
Yeah.
I'll give it up. Yeah. And truthfully, the reason I'm able to be out there doing these summits is because of the community.
Yeah.
Because this is a lot of work.
Oh my God.
But I love it so much because I'm inspired by people like you and some of the other experts and my community who are out there, when I call and say, oh no, Skype isn't working, or my tech team, or, or my spouse, something isn't working. What do I do? If I had to figure that out myself, this would never happen. It would never happen.
Absolutely. And I find that the further I go, the more kind souls that I meet, and they want to help you, and you want to help them and do good things for them.
Absolutely.
And it's like it really is lovely when you find that you find your tribe. You find your tribe.
Yeah. So Ben, I know that our watchers are going to want to follow your work. So how can we do that? And also, can you tell us about your free gift?
Sure. So you can follow me on Twitter at Dr. Ben Michaelis, or you can go to my website, drbenmichaelis.com. I'm also very active on Facebook. I have a Facebook page, Dr. Ben Michaelis. And my free gift is the first chapter of Your Next Big Thing, which has quizzes and exercises for people to sort of try to help figure out exactly where they are and what they need to get them moving forward in their lives. So I'm offering that as a gift for everyone that's going to be participating in the summit.
Thank you so much, Ben, for loving out loud with us today. It has been spectacular hearing you, getting to know you over the course of the weeks, and I wish you all the best.
Likewise to you. Thank you so much for including me. This is such a wonderful thing you're doing for people, and I just hope that we continue to stay in touch afterwards as well. It really has been wonderful.
Absolutely, because I stick, Ben, so.
That's great. It's a wonderful quality.
Yeah, thanks.